Yo, Smallmouth Crush. Today we're gonna do a little bit of fishing in the St. Lawrence River, but we're gonna be dragging deep unless another pattern materializes today, but I'm planning on staying deep. We're gonna try to find some fish. I'm gonna show you some of the different techniques and some of the baits and some of the ways I do this. It's all coming up. All right, we got the first fish of the morning. I'm using a 7-foot medium heavy St. Croix Legend X Cortland braid. This is 15 pound. I'm a little heavier when I do a football head. It's not pleasant out here. The wind really kicked up. I feel like it's going to rain. And we caught ourselves in northern. Okay. Well then. That's not what we wanted. So we'll try again. That feels like a good one there. I was double fisting, right? Just to be a little more, cover the water column a little bit more. This ain't that big. It's only 4 pounds. They're not that big today. Little guys. JP don't catch them like that. He catches all 4s, 5s, and 6s here. Crazy. That feels like a good one. That one dragging a tube. Just a little Z-Man Ned locks and a Maxscent tube. He's 4.5, I bet. 412. Alright, change of plans. Yesterday, after messing around the river, caught a few fish. Actually had a pretty good day. Didn't really film after what you just saw. But I checked the forecast and northeast winds. That's not going to be good for the river, at least for my style of fishing. So I decided to forget jumping in the BFL out of Messina and came over here and fished a tournament out of Lake, out of Henderson, the Cash and Rods tournament on Lake Ontario. So, and it's still blowing, but a lot better than making a 100-mile run from Messina, I guess. Hay's not going to be as good. But first I got to capture 5 good ones and get out there. Well, after editing this video, I realized my audio is pretty bad due to the wind. So we'll do a little voiceover here. When it's windy like this, you really can't run around. So I'm going to pick an area that I have confidence in, and I'm really just going to focus on that zone. I was fortunate enough to find some fish in about 20 feet of water or so. You can see here, I believe I was demicky rigging, and I was also throwing that Beast Coast open water sniper jig, making casts to these fish that I saw. And these aren't real big fish, but I thought due to the conditions, you know, a 4-pounder might be a good fish to put in the box. So I put a few of these in the live well to begin with, hoping that maybe the conditions would change and it would allow me to run a little bit later in the day. So I was basically throwing a 3-ounce open water sniper jig in the sexy melon color. And I was using a Berkley power bait, Little General, and Green Pumpkin as the trailer. And they were really aggressive. This little group of fish here was really aggressive, and I stuck around because I was just hoping. A lot of times there'll be some big fish. You know, these are 3.5s. Sometimes I catch a 4, but there's times when there'll be a 5-pounder sitting in there. I don't know if you noticed on this one here, I actually dropped down to that fish. So that's another technique I'll use with this football head, is I'm not going to make a long cast. I'm literally going to see him right below the boat, and I'm going to drop it down just like you would a drop shot. So I let it fall, and I really just let it sit still on the bottom. So those little skirts, there's not a lot of skirt material on that football jig. That kind of flares out. The Ned's kind of just doing its thing down there. And I don't put a lot of movement into that bait when I'm dropping straight down on them. The Beast Coast open water sniper jig is the hottest jig going right now. I promise. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Now this is a really good example of one that I saw on the graph. I take that jig, I just let it fall on the bottom, and I'm not moving it. I want you to see how still I keep that until that fish bites. Good one. Yeah. I'm not keeping this fish. I'm not doing it. 4. He's not even 4 pounds. But I'll stick him in there. So I made a little move. Almost about 9 or 10 o'clock maybe. The winds are starting to die down a little bit. And this was a key fish here. This was a 4+ pounder. Throwing that 3/8 ounce sniper jig. Just need a few more to go with it, I guess. Now she's starting to get a little bit better. This was the only fish I lost that felt really, really heavy, and upset me slightly. I got over it quick. Don't worry. And then this was towards the end. I'm running out of time. I saw this guy deep on the graph, and I was throwing the Great Lakes Finesse drop minnow in spicy melon. That color has been a big producer for me. And I just found this pile of fish deep. And I wish I had a little bit more time, because I think I could have, if I could have caught 4 more of that size. They were there. I could see them on the graph, but they were real finicky. It was very little movement. It was slack line when I was working that fish with that drop minnow. I'm using a St. Croix Legend Extreme 610 medium light 5-pound Cortland master braid and an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. And I've been using the BKK drop shot hook over the last month or so. I'm really, really liking that hook. But this guy fought. This guy fought for a while. You just take your time. You know you got good equipment, good knot. The fish is hooked. Just let him do his thing. He'll come up eventually. Unless you get nervous and force it. Then you can run into some problems out there. But this will be a nice little upgrade for me. Great upgrade there. Well, guys, I just ran out of time today. Finally got calm, and it was a tough fight for me. I'm not gonna win at all, but I got 21 maybe. Just a tough day. Pack her up and head her back in. Well, it was an interesting day on the water there. Obviously, I started the day before practicing the river, thinking I was going to jump into the BFL out of Messina. And that morning around 10 o'clock, it's funny, I was doing my drifts, and there was a charter boat, one of those big party boats that get a bunch of weirdos out on the boat and throw live bait, and they keep all the smallmouth and cook them up for dinner. I was drifting past them, and I overheard one of the guys talking about how the wind was going to come out of the northeast that next day. And I was like, oh man, really? And I was looking on my phone. I pulled out my phone, I looked at the forecast. I instantly was like, all my energy was drained out of me. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to commit to fishing that BFL, making that long run just so I can deal with a backwards drift. And so I said, screw it, I'm not going to do the BFL. I knew there was a cash and rods tournament going on Saturday out of Henderson that next day. So I'm like, you know what? Let's jump into that tournament instead. Of course, we were greeted with some strong northeast winds on the main lake, and it obviously made it hard for me to move around. Some guys caught them, so I think I took 8th place. I had 21.5 pounds, nothing great at all, but still fun to be out there. I got paid at least, so that's always a good thing. But 27 won, and there was a couple bags at 25. So guys caught them. I just couldn't really figure it out. It's all about the areas that you fish. You know, I really stayed in one area, and you have to commit a lot of times in those big waves. And if you make a bad call, you don't have that option to go run 10, 15 miles somewhere else to maybe salvage your day. So let's talk about some of the baits I used in this event. And again, in the description below, you'll find links right to these products. You can click on that. What do we start with? Well, the Beast Coast, we started catching fish on the Beast Coast open water sniper jig. I talk about this all the time. I literally throw this jig. It's tied on all the time. The quarter, 3/8 ounce. The quarter, I love to drop straight down, regardless of depth. 20, 30 feet of water, I'll grab that 1/4 ounce. I'm going to drop that straight down on these fish. A lot of times I use some sort of Ned rig as a trailer. I'll use a twin tail grub. I'll use some sort of creature bait for that trailer as well. And I'm just dropping on those fish. Now, if I'm going to make a cast, I like the 3/8 ounce. And then if I'm going to be dragging deep, I like the 1/2 ounce open water sniper jig. Of course, the Little General, we're pairing that with the Little General quite a bit. That's been working real well. And in the river the day before, I've been dragging these 2.5-inch tubes by Berkley, the Maxscent 2.5-inch green pumpkin tube, and it's been producing some good fish for us as well. And then, of course, the Great Lakes Finesse drop minnow. So when I designed the drop minnow for Great Lakes Finesse, I specifically wanted this color. This is a spicy melon, and this is my #1 color that I throw. This is like my confidence go-to drop shot bait when I need a bite, when I know those fish are a little off. I'll scent this with my SmallmouthCrush Magic by Procure. You can go on Procure's website. I think I'll see if I can find a code as well if you guys are interested. That scent is amazing. A lot of times, I don't know exactly what bait I'm going to be using the day before. I'll try to marinate my baits in that scent. But if you're in a pinch and you just grab a bait out of your box, I would just take a little of that and kind of rub it over the bait just to give it a little bit of scent. And that seems to be do the trick sometimes for me. All right, there you go. I know I got another tournament coming up this weekend with JP. We're going to try to make a video of that. Hopefully we do well. Let me know in the comments what you think of this video. And as always, until next time, we'll see you guys on the water.